Guys, there are a lot of women that want to say yes when you approach them. But if you give them zero context, zero data, the answer most likely will be a no. Let me explain. And yes, attraction, of course, does play a factor. Real life example, I was in Target yesterday. Gentleman approached me. He asked me my name. He asked me if I was single. He then said, I'd love to take you to dinner. Can I have your number? He wasn't a bad looking guy, but the answer was no. I had no context about him as a person. In my nervous system, I did not feel safe enough to give him my personal information. And I also didn't want to coach him right then and there either. I said, no, thank you. So next time you approach women in real life, give them a little data about yourself. Remember reciprocity. You ask her a question, give her some information back. Save this for your next interaction in the wild.
No.
Yep, that's not happening, darling. You're not worthy of any context. That dude saw you for what you were, and so do we. I mean, it's all in the language that you use in there, sweetheart. Now, we're all going to pretend that this encounter at Target actually happened, and you're not making up a story to prove a point that doesn't need proving. I mean, you said it yourself. You weren't in the mood to coach this guy on how to talk to women, but that's just the thing. He didn't need any coaching. He was confident enough to come up to you and shoot a shot, which means he's probably done this in the past with a fairly high success rate. And you're just butthurt that he isn't approaching you in the way that you want to be approached, and that isn't his job, nor is it ours. Men are done approaching because of crap like this. You look at us as if we're nothing but a bunch of incompetent oafs, but most of us aren't. We'd gladly approach and talk to you if there was anything worth approaching, but the way you talk down to us is so unattractive that there's no point of going up to you to strike up a conversation. We didn't ask for your help, woman, so stop acting like we did.
There's the door. Why don't you check it out?
It is so offensive to think that a man would think that you would like him for free. It is so offensive for a man to think that you would give him your time, your body, marriage, have his children, carry on his legacy, have an extension of him for free. It is just as easy to fall in love with a broke man as it is a generous man or a rich man. So choose wisely. I know you would like to think that you don't choose who you fall in love with, but that is very far from the truth. Anyone that you give substantial amount of time to and energy to is someone that you could fall in love with. So when you let your thoughts run wild, even if you're not with them physically, if you're allowing someone to consume your thoughts and you're not being intentional, you could fall in love with that person.
Give me some money. Give me some money.
Well, it's offensive that a less than average looking broad can use a man for his money. It's also offensive that you're implying that having children and passing on a genetic legacy and actually taking an active role in your non-existent family's life is somehow something that only benefits this man. That the only way that you can benefit is if the guy's paying for it. I mean, I get it. You're poor, you can't cook, you have no job prospects, and you're 35 and already trying to figure out new hairstyles to comb over that obvious bald spot of yours. Not exactly what any of us self-respecting men would call a catch. So not passing on his genetic legacy is probably a good thing. You're so emotionally detached from everything that you don't even view men as people. Hell, you don't even view those imaginary children as people. You talk about them with such venomous bile that it almost sounds like you hate those kids just because they share this imaginary guy's DNA. And you're so run through and broken down that you're not even capable of loving any man, broke or otherwise. And you're so worthless that the only way you can survive in this world is to justify your crap attempts at leeching off of men. How's that going, by the way? Not too well if you have to bash us for not giving you money orders, because even if that guy gave you a single rundown chipped up penny that he found on the floor of a gas station, he'd still be giving you way too much money.
So you can see that is, I'm no economist, but that is a load of dough.
I personally do not believe in struggle love. I will not be with a man that's going to make me struggle with him, because I do not believe a man that truly loves you would want you to struggle. Okay? And just know that love is a feeling. Even if you're super in love with somebody today, down the line, there's going to be a point in time you're going to fall out of love, and you're going to have to learn how to fall in love with them again, right? That's how relationships work. It takes a lot of effort from both partners to keep the relationship going. So wouldn't you rather just start off with somebody that has clear direction and a man with a plan than to choose somebody that doesn't even know how to take care of themselves? Stop loving these men for free. Please.
You know, I hate to break it to you, sister, but I don't think it's a wise idea to be talking about love and relationships when you're clearly single and jaded. I mean, you said it yourself. You're not willing to be in a relationship where you have to struggle, even though literally every relationship has struggles. And that man may not want you to have any problems, but it's freaking life. And if you were able to live your life without struggling, then you either had rich parents who pampered you to the point of worthlessness, or you failed kindergarten and you had to have your mother offer bedroom favors just to get you a passing grade. Either way, it ends the same, with you being an emotionally damaged sociopath with nothing to offer except massive amounts of debt and a piss-poor attitude. Now, I know you think binge watching the Twilight Saga makes you a relationship expert, but if you need to be madly in love with a dude every single day of the relationship, then it's probably better that you stay single. I mean, I would tell you to go out there and learn to love yourself, but then again, there's probably no point. You're clearly broke, and there's no point in loving yourself if you have to do it for free.
That's funny because it's so true.
Good morning, single people. Your partnered friends are not smarter than you. There is nothing about falling in love that makes you smarter. There is nothing about having a partner that makes you know more than your single friends do. And you don't get to say things like, see, this is why you're single, or give dating advice just because you got lucky and found somebody once. Shani, your videos are getting progressively more Yes, I'm aware. Life is too. Don't let your partner friends talk down to you. Don't let them pretend to be superior or more intelligent in some way, because they're not. There is nothing about falling in love that makes you better than people who haven't fallen in love. My advice column this week got the question, hey Shani, what do I do about my partnered friends who think that they know what's best for me? And I responded. And you can read that exactly where you think you can. My advice column is called Hey Shani. It publishes every single Tuesday, and you can send me questions if you want. In fact, please do. I would love to hear from you. What I don't want to hear from is partnered people who talk down to single people as though they're better than us in some way. And I know they've been encouraged to think that they're better than us because of the societal narratives around singlehood. Those narratives are lying. No one is better than you just because they have a romantic partner. They are not elevated in status above you in any way. We are all equally as human. And if you tell them that and they don't believe you and they continue to belittle you in any way, shape, or form, please send them to me. I'd like to have a little chat with them.
Let's do this.
Alright, well, consider your challenge accepted there, Bitter Bertha. You see, your coupled friends, they are well within their rights to tell you these things because they succeeded where you clearly failed. Now, I find it incredibly doubtful that someone as jaded and judgmental as you actually has any friends, but hey, I like to use my imagination every once in a while, so let's play a little make-believe. Now, Bitter Bertha, friends don't casually point out why you're single or why you can't get a date. That's usually a reactionary term in response to someone who can't either stop complaining about men, bashing men, or just being an all-around unpleasant individual. I mean, I know you're upset at them, Bitter Bertha, because deep down, you know they're better than you because they succeeded where you failed. And that's because, well, they just don't suck. And they're not socially incompetent or needlessly angry at the world. This has nothing to do with being in love, because love is merely a byproduct. This is about two people who have decided to make a go at things and are not going to let something as pointless as your complete and utter ineptitude as a human being stop them from living their lives. And if they're feeling compelled to point that out to you, then it's the last stop before they cut ties and move on with their lives, because trust me, Bitter Bertha, much like the internet, they're sick of you and your crap.
It's not you, it's me. No, actually, it's not me. It is you.
If you got married in your 20s and now you're getting divorced, it makes sense to me. Most of us didn't know in our 20s. You don't really know who you are yet. You're still figuring out your values and your boundaries and your goals and who you actually want to be. So when you get married at that age, you're usually choosing someone based on who you are in that phase, not who you're going to become. And that's not failure. That's growth. A lot of people who got married young end up divorcing for a lot of different reasons. They grow apart after evolving into different versions of themselves. They realize their goals or their values don't align anymore. Things you realize are not going to work, like emotional immaturity or lack of communication skills, financial stress, lack of stability. One person wanting to keep growing and evolving and the other person wanting to stay where they're at. Sometimes we just outgrow what once fit us, and that's okay. Instead of feeling ashamed for divorce, we should be celebrating the fact that we had the courage to walk away from something that wasn't aligned with us anymore. Because honestly, sometimes it takes one or a few failed relationships for you to figure out what you really do want and what you'll never tolerate again.
What?
All right, so why exactly are you waiting until your 20s to figure out who you are and what you want? And why are you waiting until after you swear a lifelong vow of loyalty to a man to find out what you're willing to tolerate in a marriage? Now, I may not be the smartest cat in the cosmos, but I don't see how you don't have those things figured out yet, especially when you've already spent enough time with this guy to know your boundaries and what you're willing to tolerate long before you walk down the aisle. And if you didn't, then why in the hell did you agree to marry him in the first place? It just sounds like a massive piece of irresponsibility on your part. But judging from that god-awful tattoo you got on that wrist, we can already tell that you're not exactly the most responsible, emotionally stable, or rational of individuals here. But you're also the type of woman who thinks having a full-time job and having a savings account with $237 is somehow considered brave. But it's really not. Getting a divorce is literally the opposite of brave. It just proves that you're not only unwilling to refuse to compromise on anything, it also shows that you're willing to run at the first sight of trouble. And if you're running away from adversity that quickly, then it just proves that you're a stupid, lazy little coward.
How could you do that, coward, traitor?
Can y'all please do me a favor and look at my outfit and just tell me off the rip what you would assume and or figure is the issue. This morning I was going and just getting fucking groceries. I had the most breaking of necks I've ever seen. I cannot stress this enough. This is the outfit, okay? I'm just not even sure at this point what the issue is because I don't know if there was like a new software fucking iOS update recently with the old folk, but you would have thought that I was wearing my fucking birthday suit in there. I'm telling you, real, you tell me what the issue is, okay? It's the breeches. By chance, I will just full on start wearing a pair of sweatpants everywhere I go in public because at this point, it's getting fucking ridiculous. I've always figured that with it being black, black makes things smaller. Does it not? Does it not give that optical illusion? Bitch, why the fuck does this keep happening? And it only happens in the winter too. When I'm wearing my usual like Lulu shorts and they're just fucking, you know, little boy outfits, that doesn't happen. No shit about it. If there's something wrong with my getup right now, if there's something that is out of the ordinary, you could say, you fucking tell me.
That's why I praise the Lord for prostitutes.
Well, the way I reckon is if you're gonna go out into the world without wearing any breeches, then that's going to turn some heads. Men have been looking at women's derriere since the dawn of the civilization, and I find it rather peculiar that you think you can go out there and just assume the menfolk aren't going to look at you. Then again, you're not exactly what we call the pure type. You got the same look that old Baba Joe gets when she goes into the Tackle Buck Saloon down over on World Route 5. She gets awful frisky on banjo night. None of the menfolk want to look at her because she's 25 years old, missing 6 of her teeth after falling off the mechanical bull after homecoming in 1997. Even back then, most of us had difficulties in trying to see why anyone would want to marry her. But to be fair, her father did possess a secret recipe to the country's 4th best apple pie moonshine. That wasn't worth settling for a mostly toothless Jezebel who couldn't even hog tie some stewing squirrels if her life depended on it. Now she shows up every night wearing them Lululemon leggings and assuming men are looking at her. But they're really not. They'd rather go blind from a daddy's moonshine than deal with that level of pure misery. And there ain't no misery for the fine members of the bounty board over on the Patreon. On the contrary, these are some of the best dang old good old boys and gals you could ever ask for. Buried in the mountains or down in the hayloft, these are some of the finest folks and they deserve a good old-fashioned all hail. And if you want to support the channel, take a look on down the old bounty board where the Lock the Bounty Hunters 5-part detective series is available for your watching pleasure at the low price of $0, matter of fact. Links in the pinned comment down below if you want to check it out.
And that's going to do it for today's video, gentlemen and gents. And as always, if you find that my particular brand of comedy is bringing you to the brink of laughter, then why don't you scroll on down and click that like and subscribe button. Ring the notification bell, leave a couple of comments, and be sure to share this video so we can give the good old-fashioned middle finger to the YouTube algorithm. Thank you once again for checking out the new video, gentlemen and gents, and until next time, peace out, homies.